Alright, let's do it. What's up, guys? It's CBrev with another tier list. Finally, sorry it took me so long to do another one. It's been almost 2 months since my first one, so I apologize for that. But yeah, we're ranking every card, or we're ranking every position in the game with the best cards in the game to help you guys kind of make some decisions on who to go with for your roster. Keep in mind, these are purely my opinions. But I have many card reviews on my channel as well, so for some of these cards, so you can watch those if you want something a little more in depth. But if you ask anyone in the community what they think of a card, it's always going to be their subjective anecdotal opinion. So what I say is not gospel truth. This is just what I would answer the question for each position if I was asked on stream or something. If you're new to the channel, subscribing would be much appreciated. Dropping a like on the video also helps me out a ton. Thank you guys for doing that. Twitch.tv/cbrev is where you'll find me streaming. My Twitter is cbrevmlb, and if you're watching this somewhere other than YouTube, my YouTube is cbrev MLB The Show. So yeah, today's May 29th. The 4th inning program dropped today, so the three bosses and the Brett Saberhagen headliner are in here. So yeah, I haven't had a chance to use them obviously, but let's just get right into it. I also tried to trim this down a little bit, so if you don't see a guy on the list, it means I don't think he's worthy of putting there compared to everyone else. Obviously, if there's like a big name like a 99 that I missed at some point, drop it in the comments or something. But for the most part, if there's a guy on here that you don't see at all, I don't think he's good enough to be on the list at all. So let's start with catcher. Pretty shallow position. I also tried to break up tier 1 into 3 tiers so you could get a little bit more specific separation between cards. Someone requested that. I think it's a good idea. So tier 1 split up into 3 columns for each position, and then after that we have more tiers. But for catcher, Posey and Torrey pretty much is it, in my opinion, for tier 1A. Also keep in mind that these are primary positions only. That's just the easiest way to do these tier lists. So someone like Craig Biggio would probably be tier 1A in my opinion, but he's not a primary catcher. So primary catchers, definitely Posey or Torrey in my opinion as the best 2 in the game. But the next 2 are actually pretty close. 87 Gary Sanchez, 87 Joey Bart. 2 very underrated catcher cards. And by the way, if the card is in yellow text on the slide, that means there's a card review on my channel for that card specifically, so you can see that. And then you can take a look at tier 1C. I really didn't like Adley Rutschman that much. Was kind of disappointed in him. But yeah, for catcher, honestly, it's probably Posey, Torrey, Biggio obviously is not on the slide. And if you don't have access to any of those 3, I would definitely go with Gary Sanchez or Joey Bart. Pretty big separation between tier 1B and 1C in my opinion. Moving on to first base. The best first baseman in the game is 99 Eric Thames. Obviously, this will be a recurring theme throughout the video where tier 1A is kind of just like the 99s you get from XP or collections. It's kind of just how it has to be. They're the best cards in the game right now. Also, these are ranked in order in the individual tiers. So for tier 1B, I think the best first baseman in the whole game right now, besides Eric Thames, is 94 Eddie Murray. Keep in mind, these are my opinions, but the reason I think that, switch hitter who has better splits versus righties, you face righties more, and gold fielding, so really, really good card. Then Willie McCovey, Evan White, 89 Matt Olson, and then tier 1C, we got Kirilloff, Helton, Mountcastle, McGriff, and Giambi. Down to tier 2 for first base, 96 Molitor, 88 Andrew Vaughn, actually really underrated card, really, really good hitter. 90 Willie Stargell, also a good hitter. And then tier 3, Tino, Josh Bell, Santana, and Pete Alonso. Second base, pretty big separation between Sandberg and Zobrist. I want to put that out there. Biggio and Sandberg are by far the best 2 second basemen in the game, but I still wanted to put Zobrist in tier 1A because I think he's the best second baseman in the game besides those 2, and that's not close. So if you don't have Biggio or Sandberg, try to get Zobrist, even though he's crazy expensive. And if you don't have any of those 3, your next move is Roberts, Brujan, and Madrigal. So some of you guys might be surprised to see Madrigal up so high. I really hated his prospect card, but his Future Stars card is actually incredible. The fielding he plays is insane, and with them boosting his speed up to 98, he's just a super threat on the base paths. I really think speed at second base, shortstop, along with good fielding, makes a big difference this year more than previous years. You'll see we have rated Ozzie Smith pretty high for shortstops as well for that reason. Even though they have low power, I feel like middle infield defense and speed combined is really powerful this year. So you see Roberts and Brujan together as well. They're pretty much the same card. I give the nod to Roberts because he has a little bit better swing and he can be prestiged. This is again a recurring theme you'll see throughout the video. A little bit of a slight nod to cards that can be prestiged, because obviously if you go through that program and you get them prestiged, they get +3 to every attribute and they become a much better card. So Roberts also hits over 60 power versus both sides when he's prestiged, so he becomes significantly better in my opinion. And he also gets the +3 speed to go from 92 to 95. So if you asked me which one to pick between Roberts and Brujan, I would say Roberts. But Brujan's free and Roberts costs like 50K now. So that's a decision you'll have to make for yourself. Tier 1C, Ozzie Albies, still an amazing card, still in love with him. Then we got a couple future stars there, Garcia and Horner. Moving on, Roberto Alomar, Rogers, Hornsby in Tier 2, and Derek Dietrich, Gavin Lux in Tier 3. Remember, if you don't see a guy, he's probably not good enough, in my opinion, to be on the list. So, third base. Third base and shortstop, surprisingly, some of the deepest positions in the whole game right now. Tier 1A, obviously, 99 Jose Ramirez. We know that. He's in the Prestige XP reward path. He's insane. But the best third baseman in the game besides him, in my opinion, is Chipper Jones. Again, giving the nod to the possibility of being prestiged. If you prestige Chipper Jones, his fielding actually goes up to 70, so he'll have silver fielding instead of bronze fielding at third base, which is a really big deal. He also gets over 90 power versus right and contact versus right prestiged. So non-prestiged, still the best third baseman in the game besides Ramirez, in my opinion. Prestiged, even better. And then the next two best options, Tomato, Gorman, and Jones. I think Gorman or Jones was the most asked question I saw all the time when Future Stars first dropped. It really doesn't matter, guys. If you're using them at third or first, they're the same card. Okay, so stop asking me Gorman or Jones. They're both amazing. Tier 1C, we got Matthews, Dalbec, and Cabrera. Don't sleep on Tier 1C. All three of those cards are amazing as well. Third base is really deep, like I said. Tier 2, Future Stars, Alec Boehm, Future Stars, Josh Young, and Future Stars, Brian Hayes. I really wanted to rate Hayes higher, but he just doesn't hit well enough for me. And then Tier 3, Devers, Moncada, Arenado, and Edgar. This next part might surprise some of you guys, so let's go into shortstops. The three best shortstops, pure shortstops in the game right now, in my opinion, are all free. They are Player of the Month, Carlos Correa, Future Stars, Jazz Chisholm, and Player of the Month, Didi Gregorius. So they are rated in order, in my opinion. I think Correa is better than Chisholm, and Chisholm is better than Gregorius, but honestly, they're all pretty close, and they're all really, really good. So, like I said, shortstop super deep, and actually one of the positions that you can save some stubs at if you're really struggling for stubs. If you have a limited amount of stubs to build your team with, I would definitely suggest looking at third base, shortstop, and second base as free cards, because there's a lot of options there. If you even just look at the three shortstops in Tier 1, and I forgot to change this to 1A, 1B, 1C, but that's what it's supposed to say now that I'm looking at it. But if you just look at the three shortstops in Tier 1, you can fill out 3/5 of your infield with them, and they're all free. So if you're on a budget, that's probably what I would do. I'd put Correa at third, Didi at second, Jazz at shortstop. Tier 2, we got the new headliner, Carter Kieboom. I think it's Kieboom, and Hanley Ramirez. They're honestly the same card to me. Kieboom has better fielding, so he gets the nod there. And then Tier 1C is what it's supposed to say, not Tier 3. Barry Larkin, I actually really don't like Barry Larkin at all. I think his card sucks, especially because you face righties a lot with him, and he only has 60-ish power. But then Ozzie Smith there, maybe a little surprising for y'all for the same reason I said. Middle infield, high defense, high speed, I think is really strong this year. So he's probably higher than you were expecting for that. especially for a card that costs like 25k, really cheap card. And then face of the franchise, Tatis, still a monster. And I forgot to change the text on this one too. This is supposed to say tier 2, 3, and 4. So tier 2 is Glaber, Correa, Mondesi. Tier 3, Wander Franco, Jimmy Rollins, Andres Jimenez. And tier 4, Brandon Crawford. Not a whole lot to say on these second slides for each position. I just wanted to throw them up there if you really need to go down into the depths of budget to find a guy for a position. Alright, moving on to outfield, things get a little weird, especially in Tier 1A because it's all just insane cards that we all know are good. Mickey, Springer, Sheffield, Jackson, all incredible, all free. Well, Mantle and Sheffield aren't free, but you guys know what I mean. The Springer's in the Prestige XP reward path, so we'll just skip over Tier 1A. We all know those cards are good, but this might surprise some of you guys as well. In my opinion, the best outfielder in the game besides those 4 is Mike Trout. I think Trout's the best he's ever been in the history of MLB The Show this year, given that they give him over 110 power versus right, and him being a live series card, he has special quirks that make him just a monster at the plate. He has a ton of quirks. He has like every quirk in the game that you can get pretty much, and they are only for live series players, and they're only activated on live series players. Some of the things I'm talking about, like hits better with 2 strikes, hits better on the first pitch, plays better in the day, plays better at night. He has like all of them. So he's constantly getting boosted to his attributes even when you can't see, on top of having 112 power, I think, versus the right-handedness pitcher that you will face most often. So Mike Trout is a monster. Does play a little sketchy defense at times, but you just can't beat his bat. Second best is the new Jacoby Ellsbury, once again giving the nod to him because of his ability to be prestiged. And if you have watched my content for a long time, you know that I could care less about arm strength. Arm strength is one of the lowest priority attributes that I look at when evaluating cards. I just think it's a really niche stat. There are very few times throughout playing a ton of games where arm strength actually makes a difference. You have to think about like you're thinking about like a 50-foot difference in catch distance or throw distance compared to like an 80 arm versus a 50 arm. Like it's very marginal, and I just don't care that much. I don't think it's very important. I think it's a very overrated stat. And on top of that, with his speed, reaction, fielding, which I think are very important stats, when he's prestiged, he will have in-game left field defense, in my opinion. He might be the best left field defender in the whole game moving forward. If he gets diamond fielding, it should be at 95, right? I actually can't remember. If his fielding is 95 or higher, he can play left field amazing. But regardless, in center field, he's going to have diamond defense. And prestige, he has 99 speed and 99 stealing. So really insane defensive card. Pretty similar to Trammell, but much better. Talking a lot about Ellsbury, but he just came out today. I'm kind of excited. Ken Griffey Jr., another very slept-on card in my opinion, because he was a little underwhelming with his stats, but his defense is good, his speed is good, he has over 100 power versus right, and he has one of the best swings in the entire game. I can almost guarantee that you will hit home runs with that Ken Griffey Jr. that you are not supposed to hit. His swing is just crazy. He's on like the Mount Rushmore of cards that I can never get out when I pitch to them. So really good. Hayward right behind him, pretty much a budget Griffey. A little better defense, but a worse hitter versus lefties. And then Trammell. And then, yes, I still think Byron Buxton, 87, is one of the best outfielders in the game. You can go watch my card review on him to get more details, but in-game fielding, obviously he's going to have in-game fielding all year and plays well above his stats at the plate. Tier 1C, Matt Kemp. I wanted to like Matt Kemp a lot, but I just don't see it. Gold defense with just above average speed in center field, and splits that favor hitting lefties, which happens less often. So you're going to be facing righties a lot with Matt Kemp. I think that hurts him a lot. Elliot Ramos right behind him, insane card, one of the better Future Stars cards I've used all year. And then 99 Mini Minoso. For a 99, pretty underwhelming, especially if he's not prestiged. He only has gold fielding. So, yeah, pretty underwhelming 99 there. Moving on to outfield, we got many more to talk about just because Outfield has a ton of players. We got Joey Gallo, Brandon Marsh, Cargo, Dylan Carlson, and Juan Soto in Tier 2. Tier 3 is Ty Cobb, Shane Victorino, Alec Thomas, Jared Kelnick, Juan Pierre, Joe Carter. And Tier 4 is Yelich, Bellinger, Judge, all the live series people there. What is this slide? Anyway, moving on to starting pitchers. We put our top 5 in Tier 1A because you guys always want to know who is the best rotation in the game right now. So this might be a little controversial as well because of the two names there, Felix Hernandez and Dustin May. So let's talk about the non-controversial people. We all know Kluber is the best pitcher in the game still, but second place is Future Stars Nick Lodolo. Absolutely crazy card. All of his stuff breaks insanely. He is just really hard to square up, really hard to hit in general. I think the card is insane. I think he is the second best pitcher in the game right now. Get yourselves a Nick Lodolo. He is really, really, really good. And then Hal dropping down to 4th. I think in a month or two, most people will not actually have Hal in their rotation. He kind of, the overalls are catching up to him, and honestly, his stuff is not that good, and he has pretty poor control. So he's still in the top 5 as of right now, but I wouldn't be shocked in the next tier list if he's not in the top 5 anymore. One of those cards that's not even really fun to pitch with, but you just use him because his attributes are insane compared to everyone else right now. But let's talk about the two controversial ones. I'll start with Dustin May. Dustin May's gotten a lot of crap in the community, especially from top players, and I think to an extent it's been a little overplayed. Dustin May is not bad. Dustin May is not Corey Kluber, but Dustin May is not terrible. Dustin May is still one of the best pitchers in the game, in my opinion. I just think when people saw the card, they were expecting Kluber 2.0, and he is not that, and so their disappointment led them to just saying that he sucks. I don't think he sucks. I still think he's a top 5 pitcher in the game. So moving on from Dustin May, the third best pitcher in the game is going to be the new Felix Hernandez that came out today. I might catch a lot of crap for this depending on what happens in the next couple weeks, but I really, really think this is Felix's year to be insane. Obviously, he can be prestiged, which helps his pitch repertoire as well. He gets more velocity on his fastball sinker, and he gets slower velocity on his off-speed. He actually gets more velocity on his slider, too, which is important because that gets him up to 90 miles an hour. So why do I think Felix Hernandez is going to be so good? One thing I haven't heard many other people talk about is they actually changed his delivery this year. It's simpler aesthetically. It definitely looks more like Felix, but in my opinion, it's actually harder to pick up the ball when he throws it with this new delivery. So I think he got a bump with the new delivery. I think he's harder to hit. And then looking at his pitch repertoire, it looks really good. I know people are obsessed with speed differential, and I can do that at times, and people might look at Felix and not see a lot of speed differential, but you got to understand what you're seeing. I wish I had the card on screen to talk about him. But his changeup is hard. He can throw it up to 88, and hard straight changeups are good with sinker primaries because they look exactly the same out of the hand, especially in high pitch speed situations like Hall of Fame legend difficulties. When facing Kluber, it's often hard for me to tell the difference between sinker and changeup when they throw it in the same tunnel, and Kluber's changeup is even slower, so it's going to be harder to tell the difference with Felix's changeup. Also, Felix's slider is at 89, which means he can throw it up to 91 miles an hour. That's really good against getting lefties out. Busting lefties inside with hard sliders is one of the most effective ways to get lefties out with right-handed pitchers. The harder the slider, the better, in my opinion, and he can get up to 91. Throwing up and in sliders to lefties with 2 strikes with a right-handed pitcher is like one of the grossest pitches in the entire game if you can locate it. So that's really good. And then another thing I don't think a lot of people are talking about is his sweeping curve. So people were disappointed that it's a sweeping curve and not a slurve, which I understand, but someone can correct me. But as long as I've been playing MLB The Show, I don't think I've ever seen a sweeping curve with as much velocity as this Felix card has. 81 is what it says on the card, which means he can throw it as hard as 83. I think that pitch is going to be completely insanely good for Felix, especially on Hall of Fame legend. I've never personally seen a sweeping curve thrown that hard. The reason sweeping curve sucks in the game is because it floats and it's very easy to recognize, but a hard sweeping curve may be very, very good. I don't think we've seen anything like that yet. Sweeping curves actually break the most out of any breaking ball in the whole game. They break more than slurves. So if you can throw it with that much break and a little more velo, I think it's going to be gross. I really think this is Felix's year. I could be wrong. I could be eating my words in 2 weeks, but that's just my opinion. Gonna move on, but yeah, I really, really like Felix, as you guys can tell. Tier 1B, Spencer Howard is number 1. He's the guy I would have put top 5 if I didn't put Felix in there. Really good. I like the card a lot. Good speed differential. Pretty much everything you want out of a pitcher. He's just really solid. He's a guy that you can throw out there, and most of the time he's not going to get blown up. Like, he's not going to have really bad games. He's going to have some okay games and some good games. Just a really solid pitcher. Next up, 96 Cole Hamels. I like him a lot. I wish his changeup was a little slower, but the differential and off speed the differential between his fastballs is really good. Next on the list, Kyle Wright, and then some surprises there at the end of Tier 1B. I still think Mize and Luzardo are really good. Mize still has the same pitch repertoire as Kluber, but a splitter instead of a changeup. I still think Mize is good. And then Luzardo's really unique curveball primary, throws it hard, and a lot of people have been putting more lefties in their lineup lately, so he gets a little bit of a bump there. I still think he's really good. Tier 1C is kind of like the group of 5 that probably should be better than they are. I wish they were a little better. I actually like Clark Schmidt more than most people. That's why he's on top. But Glavine, Saberhagen, Oswalt, Snell, all cards that you would think would be insanely good, but they're just like above average to okay. So obviously I haven't tried Saberhagen. Saberhagen has almost 20-mile-an-hour difference between his fastball and changeup, which could be good against noobs, but usually pitch repertoires like that aren't very good versus good players. So it remains to be seen how good Saberhagen will be. Tier 2, Brady Singer at the top. I still like him a lot. He struggles from not throwing hard, but he's a really good finesse pitcher to throw somebody off. Scherzer, Maddox, Pearson. There's Gratterall. I say it often on stream, but the more I hit against Gratterall, the worse I think he is. Really a bummer of a card, but he just truly is so wild. I am never going to pitch with him again, probably. Otani and Dane Dunning rounding out Tier 2, and then Tier 3, 96 Patino, great per nines, but bad pitch repertoire. Then Sale, McKay, Whitley, Kopech, Mathewson, and then Tier 4, Rolson, Young, 85 Charlie Morton, a little bit of a sneaky card there. Vita Blue and Adonis Medina. So I'm sure most of you guys were waiting for just the first slide of starting pitcher, but like I said, I want to throw these in there just in case. And let's round it out with the bullpen arbs. I separated these between right-handed and left-handed. So starting off with right-handed, we got Tier 1. This is supposed to be 1A. Oh, no, it's not because it's relievers. Never mind. Tier 1 relievers, Rob Dibble, Raleigh Fingers. I think there should be about 8 enter keys between Rob Dibble and Raleigh Fingers. Rob Dibble is the best reliever in the game. It's not close. Rob Dibble might be the best reliever I've ever faced in the history of MLB The Show when I have to hit against him on Legend. His four-seam is 102, his cutter is 92, and they look exactly the same out of the hand. When I'm hitting against him on Legend, I pretty much just flip a coin. Do I swing for 102 or do I swing for 92? Because it's humanly impossible to tell the difference unless some of these cracked 16-year-olds that always run the leaderboards can tell the difference. Maybe they have some tips, but me personally, I can't tell the difference. That card is absolutely disgusting. Complete shutdown closer, the best closer in the game. Can't say it enough. But also in Tier 1, 96 Raleigh. Everyone knows that. He's good. Tier 2, Gagne, Nin, Eckersley in that order. Gagne doesn't throw the hardest, only like 97, but for some reason his timing windows are really weird to hit against. It seems like his fastball has more get-up than 96, which is what it usually sits at. I usually have to tell myself to swing a little early against Gagne. I think Gagne's really good. I think Nin's really good. You guys know I like harsh sliders from when I was talking about Felix. And then this one's controversial too. A lot of people don't like Eck. Eck is still one of my best relievers. He throws absolute dots. And then tier 3, you can see there Hoffman at the top, but a lot of budget cards there. John Smoltz way at the bottom. That card's terrible. Moving on to left-handed relief closing pitcher and the last slide. Tier 1, Billy Wags. Probably the only lefty reliever I really trust to throw out there 100% of the time. Chapman's close, but it's more of a guessing game with Chapman. I just think Wagner's the best lefty reliever in the game. But Chapman also tier 1. You hear other streamers say it a lot, but his two-seam is pretty much a changeup. So his two-seam sits about 93 to 94, and he has the outlier four-seam, which is 102. So 93, 94 versus 102, and they look exactly the same out of the hand. Kind of a similar situation as I talked about with Rob Dibble, where huge speed differential for basically the same pitch. Super hard to hit against. I like Chapman a lot. Tier 2, I got Britton and Franco. Britton got a lot of crap this year because his delivery is easier to read. I do think Britton is easier to hit this year, but I don't think he sucks. I still think he's good. He's just not as dominant as we were expecting because of his delivery, but you need left-handed relievers, man. Who else are you going to throw out there? I mean, I guess you could use starters, but Britton's still good. And as is John Franco, nice little changeup. I'm growing to like John Franco more than when I did his card review. I think I was just pitching bad with him when I used him, but I still think he's a really solid lefty. And then tier 3, Doolittle, Miller, Hader, and Plesac. Hader might get a bump. He's apparently getting a changeup in the next update because he was bugging SDS about it and sending them clips of him throwing a changeup, which is kind of hilarious. So he may get a bump if he gets a changeup, but as of right now, very easy to hit. So that's going to round out the video. Let me know if you agree, disagree. If I missed anyone major, it usually happens for at least 1 or 2 players. Let me know in the comments. But yeah, hope this sufficed for you guys. You guys have been asking me for it, so I appreciate all the support lately, all the love. You guys are amazing. If you made it all the way to the end, you're incredible. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Maybe do another tier list in like a month from now. We'll see. So appreciate you, love you. See you later.